Aloha. The county charter is our local constitution and defines how our governance functions. Every 10 years, citizens have an opportunity to revise the charter by voicing concerns and improvements to our local governance. Since March 2021, 11 commissioners have been listening, researching, and debating these improvements, and are recommending 85 amendments that will consolidate down to 16 major amendments. This first video is about one of these consolidated amendments called Optimizing Boards and Commissions. A second video will be also produced that gives information on empowering district planning commissions. I think you'll find it very interesting on the rewiring of our charter and the far-reaching implications this has to our community. On the 26th and 27th of this month, there will be public hearings that'll be held at the Charter Commission from 5 to 9 p.m. And citizens are welcome to participate and voice their input.
Welcome today. We're so glad to have you at our discussion about the Charter Commission of 2021 to 2022. And today with us on this panel, we have Council Member Kelly King, Community Member Dick Mayer, and Commissioner Dave DeLeon. We're really excited to have these guests with us, and we're excited to talk about the Charter Commission that proposes an improvement to the selection process for the county's boards and commissions through the creation of a selection commission. So I'd like to have our guests introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into the questions. Kelly?
Well, I'm here because, not because I'm a council member, but because I actually served on a volunteer Blue Ribbon Committee in the past under Mayor Ellen Arakawa with Dick Mayer. Dave DeLeon was our support person from the mayor's office. So I have some experience in how this process works.
Thanks. And Dick, do you want to talk about why you're here and what brings you to this decision that we need this better selection?
Several years ago, I was also on that Blue Ribbon Committee, which picked people to be on the boards and commissions, nominated them actually to the mayor. And I thought that was an excellent idea. And that's why I proposed to the Charter Commission that we make that a formal committee of the council, of the county, so that in the long term, we'll have much better operating boards and commissions by getting the best people we can get.
And Dave, you want to talk a little bit about being a commissioner and why this is on your radar and it has your attention?
You have to understand the complexity of our boards and commissions. I mean, we have something like 35 boards and commissions, and we're going to have a whole bunch more pretty soon, it seems. And a lot of them are 9 members, and people are moving on and off all the time. You need sometimes up to 80 new people a year, or if you're looking at people resigning in the middle of the year, 100 people a year. So, and over 3 islands. And so there's a lot of complexity involved. It's not a simple thing. And these are volunteers. So they have to come and be willing to spend their time. So you have to go find people willing to do that and have the capacity and the ability to do it.
Dick, would you be willing to talk a little bit about what the process is right now? How do we have people selected for boards and commissions? And maybe just a little bit about what are the boards and commissions on the county? What power do they have? What do they do?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, most people in the county know that we have a mayor and we have a county council, and occasionally they'll hear about a board or a commission because it gets controversial. There's a liquor commission, police commission, the county planning commission, board of water supply. Those are just a few of the more prominent ones. And there are volunteers who serve on all of these boards and commissions. And the selection of the people who are on these boards and commissions has not always, I think, been at a maximum level. It's been left to somebody, maybe one person in the staff of the mayor, and they know certain people and make the nominations and work with the mayor on that. By having a broader selection committee who works with the idea of we got to recruit the best people we can, one of the first things they'll be doing is advertising that there are openings and asking people to apply for boards and commissions. And then they will screen these and try to get a balance. And there's a whole bunch of criteria that to look at because not all these boards and commissions are the same. They range from things like everything from a street lighting committee to a police commission, to one for seniors and elderly, to others that are planning the future of Molokai or Lanai. Many people don't realize how important some of these boards and commissions are. They're actually making final decisions. There are many things that happen at a board or commission, which is the final decision. For example, certain coastal zone things and coastal areas at the planning commission, and other decisions by other boards and commissions. They make the final decision on things. So we want to make sure that we have the best people on that board. And the second thing is that very often we have a particular person that we need on a board and commission. For example, there's one that deals with animals, and we need a veterinarian. Well, veterinarians are busy, they may not apply, and so we're going to have to go out and recruit a veterinarian. There are other committees that deal with public works, construction, infrastructure, and we need an engineer. And we will have to go out and try to get an engineer who's willing to give up some of their time and serve the community by being on a board or commission. So it's that kind of a process that we're trying to improve to make sure we get the best people applying, people who can do it. And I'd add one third thing to that, and that is diversity. If you have one or two people doing the selection, you might get a narrow group of people who are always on these boards and commissions. By having a selection committee, you may be able to get male, female, you may get different ethnic groups, you may get different geographic areas, different age things. So the idea is to try to bring the best that we can in the county and with different perspectives into the process.
And earlier I said that I wasn't here as a council member, but I guess I sort of am, because we're on the other side of things where once we get a name presented to us for a board or commission, we then have to vet that person at the council level, and we're vetting them in a vacuum because we haven't seen the other people who have applied. So we get one name, we have to ask questions, we have to ascertain if this person is appropriate, and not in a context of 5 or 6 other people that may have applied for the same position. So having this blue ribbon commission will give a broader scope of people to look at all the applications and make those decisions after debating which one of 5 people might be the best for that. None of the mayors have wanted to give that list to any of the council members, but I think because this blue ribbon commission will have to have that power, and we'll have to also be entrusted to keep those names from going public, because they're just for debate purposes. So that's one of the benefits of having this blue ribbon commission, is having more eyes on it, so that and I think it benefits the people being appointed as well, because you don't have to go before 9 council members who are going to ask you all these questions, not knowing really if you're trying to ascertain if you're the best person for the job, and we don't know who else has applied for it. That's a part of it. The other thing that we did when we had the volunteer group that Dick was talking about was we physically went out, put up flyers, and advocated for people to join, to put in applications, because there were some boards and commissions that we didn't have applications for, that not enough people were applying for, or you see the same names just rotating from one board or commission to another. So we're trying to get more broader civic engagement from our constituents, from the residents across the county. And sometimes it takes an active group like what we're trying to create with the commission to actually go out and lobby people and put up flyers in the schools and the grocery stores and the churches and wherever people are, because a lot of people don't know, like I think Dave said earlier, a lot of people don't know about these boards and commissions, and they might just know about a couple that they're interested, that they've heard about because they're controversial. So this helps get the word out as well.
So
Dave,
to give a different perspective, yeah, well, the part about I want to mention is Mayor Lingo coined this term, but I agree with it. This is basically a third branch of Maui County government. This is basically where you have government of the people, and it gets really tricky as a recruiter, and I did the recruiting. It gets really difficult on places like Molokai or Lanai, Hana. They're really small communities. We're talking about there's only a certain percentage of the population wouldn't even think about participating in government. And when you get to a small community, that shrinks. I mean, so your numbers shrink a lot. And you will see rotations of people, because you'll be even happy to have that rotation rather than an empty seat. So it was, it was really tricky sometimes, especially Molokai used to drive me crazy. And so if you have a Molokai member of the commission who has good connections in the community and can go out and help you wrestle up the right people. The other aspect of that is that person who works in the mayor's office is usually an individual that has to vet all these people for the mayor. And in many cases, you don't really know these guys. But you have a better chance if there's one person from the district on the board who does, or at least, who knows somebody who might know somebody. And in any case, there's a way to go back that way. If you have a question about whether the person's the correct person to be in a position of responsibility. Members of boards and commissions become officers of the county, and they're sworn officers of the county. So they're not just volunteers. They are actually a responsibility. They have a responsibility to follow Chapter 91 and Chapter 92 and do the things that a viable government will expect. And it can't be just ad hoc. It has to be something really by the book.
So I can see how this is going to really increase the balance of scope and breadth and skills and diversity in the boards and commissions. And they have a lot of power, but how does this change what's happening now? Like, why does this need to be written into the charter that there is a selection committee? What's the difference? Why do all of you feel strongly that this should be put into the charter instead of just the prerogative of the mayor?
Well, right now it's optional. So we've had mayors that have utilized this blue ribbon process, and then our current mayor has not. So if we put this on the ballot and the voters across the county feel that this is a really important aspect of government that needs to be codified, then it will be a requirement for every administrator, every mayor after this to continue this process.
I believe that only one mayor has done this, and that was Arakawa in his first term. And then he didn't do it in his subsequent terms that I know of.
I thought you were saying that Ringo had done it.
And he really, and I thought he missed a vote. I mean, because I thought that it really proved its value at that time.
Your question is right. Why should we have it? And one of the problems in the present situation is the mayor is doing the nominating really with his staff person, giving him advice, which ones are out there. But the tendency for any politician is, I want to reward my friends. I want to get people I know who are going to be on these boards and commissions. Well, that isn't necessarily the qualification that you want always on boards and commissions. You may want opposite viewpoints from what the mayor has. And by having this process, you have a better chance of getting a diversity of opinions. You don't, many times a politician, a mayor, and I'm not picking any particular mayor, but a mayor may pick people who worked on his campaign or her campaign. And that's not necessarily the qualifications you want. So this way, you're really going out and trying to get the best. And there's one other thing about these boards and commissions. They very often are a first step for residents, citizens of our community, to eventually enter the political arena, to become a council member or a state representative or whatever. They're getting their feet wet, working with local governments, making decisions, getting known on that board if they do a good job.
So, we really want people to be focused on the job that they're doing. And like was said earlier, there are some boards and commissions that have more authority. The police commission is very important. They just picked a new police chief and made a very bold move with picking someone from outside the state. So that is a little different responsibility for deciding on street lighting, for instance. There's all level of boards and commissions. When the planning commission makes its decisions on SMA permits, that's final. And if that commission is not balanced, that's really dangerous for whatever community. There's been times when nobody from South Maui has been on the planning commission, and yet they come in to make decisions about projects in South Maui. So this was what we were, when Dick and I served on the Blue Ribbon Committee under the Arakawa administration, our group was extremely conscientious about making sure that the boards and commissions were representative geographically. We tried to do demographically, balance it out, and gender was a little bit harder, but we made a real attempt to try to balance it out that way. And then the other thing that happens in some of the boards and commissions that have been created recently will have council member appointed people like the South Maui Advisory Committee, and then they'll have a couple of mayoral appointed people. But the mayor's not talking to us about who he's appointing, so it's really hard to make it geographically balanced or even demographically balanced when we don't know who he's picking. So if you have a group like this that can communicate with the council members on, okay, if we're going to pick 2 people for the mayor and you're picking 5 people from the council for the council's choices, let's make sure that all areas in one district are represented. Let's make sure we have a gender balance. Let's make sure we have, a balance of, maybe an ethnic balance and balance of experience.
All within the availability of the applications to be able to fill that. I mean, so there's not always the possibility of having to fill all the pukas. I mean,
there's not, but then
ideally, yes. But you're right about like South Maui should never be in a situation where it doesn't have representation on if we still just have a Maui Planning Commission. I mean, South Maui is half their business.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how that is.
Exactly.
How it would end up with South Maui not having a representative.
Yeah, it should be half the Planning Commission. But that's why I say that because you're right about within the availability of applications. But that's why this Blue Ribbon Commission can go beyond just sitting back and waiting for applications. They can actually go out and solicit applications, especially
that's part of its value. Yeah.
Well, especially when there's requirements, like the planning commissions and the advisory committees are all required to have an environmentalist and a Native Hawaiian cultural expert. So you can't just sit back and wait for those people to come in. You really have to go out and recruit for those positions.
Yeah, one of the things that happens is that the commission, even the present situation, people apply for the job to be on a board or commission, and they usually ask, which ones would you like to serve on? So almost everybody puts down planning commission because that is so important in the county, and then they maybe put 2 or 3 other ones. But let's say we see somebody who's and I'll go back to the example I used before, who's a engineer and would like to be on the planning commission. And yet we already have enough people, or maybe there is no opening this year for the planning commission. And then we can go to that person and say, we see you have a background in this area or that area. We think you'd be better on the Public Works Commission. And so all of a sudden we can get people transferred to other boards that they may not even know exist. As we said, there are 35 plus boards. So many of them don't have any applicants. We may have a senior citizen who applies, let's say, to be on the senior citizen committee, and we see in their application, they say, but I can't meet on certain times because I'm disabled. Well, we have also a separate commission on disabilities. So we could say to that person, would you like to serve? We don't have anything on the aging commission, but we do have something on the disability. So this gives flexibility to the whole application process.
All right, we'd like to thank our guests so much for coming to this panel and for all of their wonderful comments about this nomination committee for boards and commissions. We'd just like to give them a chance to say just one more thing about this charter amendment and why they feel it's important.
As an active commissioner with the current commission, I supported this measure because I think it'll be an improvement to the function of our government by improving the quality of our boards and commissions.
I was very pleased to be able to nominate this nomination committee really to the Charter Commission as being something that will, I think, improve the county government, provide a broad range of people who will be serving in the county and get people interested in serving the county and hopefully look to get the benefits of our good county government.
Okay, as somebody who's been involved in this process from both sides, being on the Blue Ribbon Committee in the past, and also being on the council approving the final nominations from the mayor, I think this will broaden the scope of the applicants to the boards and commissions. And I think it'll also give more opportunity to get new people on the boards and commissions for the county and bring more civic engagement to our county of Maui Nui.
We thank all of you out there for being more involved, for educating yourself about this process, and we are so looking forward to this 2022 ballot and all of the amendments that the Charter Commission has so carefully looked over. We encourage you to call in for public hearings at the Charter Commission. Let your council members know which ones you're supporting. Let the commissioners know which ones you're supporting. And please make sure that you talk to your friends and neighbors about the Charter Commission process and the amendments that'll be on the 2022 ballot. Thank you.
I'm going to add one last thing. And please listen up on January 26th, 27th in the evening. The Planning Commission will be going out to the public, trying to get input from you on what you think of this idea and other amendments that will be on the potentially on the ballot down the road.